Hi there everyone, I'm Krissy and I'm delighted to have been invited by Debbie to come and speak to you guys again at another incredible online festival. Not on my best this morning doing this videoing, so if you'll forgive me looking like, oh, I've had a late night, I had a late night. It's brilliant to be able to bring this to you in the comfort of your home, particularly if you're not able to get out and about and find out more things and participate in things. So accordingly, I thought, right, I'm going to be a bit experimental today. So Debbie said to me, could I talk a little bit about my life living in Glastonbury, which has got a huge cultural, mythological and historical heritage, and traditionally, if you consider myths of King Arthur and the idea of witches and the Isle of Avalon, there's lots of rich fodder here for people who are interested in spirituality. It's a very interesting town. We get a lot of very interesting visitors. So I thought, since quite often you're going to be sitting here and you're going to be watching things on your computer at home, that's great. But actually, if I wanted to tell you about the town I live in and some of the things we get up to here, if you were here, I'd take you out for a coffee. Well, I might perhaps not go for the coffee part, but what I'm intending to do is deliver this little chat for you in 3 parts, and I'm going to take you onto the high street, show you my favourite cafe and show you some of the shops that we've got. A lot of them are also available online, so if you went looking online for them, if you've come for a walk in Glastonbury with me today, you know the shop you're shopping at. But meanwhile, I'm sitting here in my lounge. I've got the dog sitting next to me. And we have a cat in a chair, if she'll perform for us. There you are. Because I may be a witch, but I live an ordinary, straightforward life. We have pets, we have kids, and it is totally doable to be all of these things. If you have a look, I've got the bookshelves behind me and some of the reading material on there. Witches live in real houses. So, without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my jacket on. I'm going to take you out into town and I'm going to give you a brief mini tour of Glastonbury, just so that you can have a look and see what the fuss is all about if you've not been to visit. So I shall catch up with you in a minute. Hi again, here we are. We're out in Glastonbury town, and I just wanted you to be able to see some of the wonderful creativity that is so obvious here in this town. Sadly, this very large mural is probably going to be painted over by order of the council, which is a shame, and it's very likely that various members of the community are going to be up in arms about that, but it is beautiful, so enjoy it while you can there. Okay, most definitely this is one of the best crystal shops in town, and particularly one of the best kept secrets, because it is down North Lode Street off to the side of the high street. Okay, here we have our hemp shop. The guy who had his name changed to Free Rob Cannabis because he absolutely believes that hemp is an incredible substance that will be of great benefit to mankind in all manner of different ways. Smashing bloke, very, very passionate about his subject. But then let's just progress a little bit further, and we've got the family butchers, because we do have ordinary shops here as well, and some that are a little bit more interesting, maybe you could say. So here we are now at the market cross in the centre of town, looking for some interesting shops for you here. Over to the right of this frame is the entrance to Glastonbury Abbey, where it was said that King Arthur and Guinevere were buried, and it has actually been disproven that that's the case, but it's still a great myth. So now we're heading on up the high street, which isn't terribly busy at the moment, which is probably a good thing. And to the left here now we've got the George and Pilgrims Hotel, which was here in the time of John Dee and Edward Kelly, and some say that they actually did stay here. It's a very, very, very old pub. One of the very few small towns that still has lots of bookshops. Courtyard Books is fantastic for esoterica and lots of rare and hard to find books. Over here on this side now we've got the Speaking Tree, which does a fantastic range of family books. So it's often quite cheap, which means that even families on low incomes can actually afford to buy books. But yeah. Gothic Image has been here for as long as I can remember, and I first came here 34 years ago. And over here now we have got across the road the entrance to the Glastonbury Assembly Rooms. Okay, I'm just working with the traffic here. I'd like to do this in one piece for you. Okay, let's go. Every Tuesday there is an indoor market here, and local craftspeople and myself come in. It's a very, very old building. It's been a community building since it was actually built by one of our local historical figures. If you can see that from there, Rutland Vaughton. Have a look online, he was quite an interesting character to say the least. Now we'll go back out onto the high street, I think, just so I can show you a couple more of the very interesting shops that we have here. Okay. Yin Yang is a fantastic shop. They sell lots of brilliant, brilliant crystals, artifacts, following lots of different faith paths as well. Beautifully kept, very high quality. And coming up here now, let's see if we can show you the full front of this shop. This is Enchanted Florals, and this is where you can buy your broomsticks. I've got to put this in. Our baker from Burns the Bread recently was awarded an MBE. They do the most fantastic Glastonbury pasties here. Now I'm taking my life into my own hands and I'm walking in the middle of the road, which is probably not tremendously wise. Okay, this is one of my favourite shops, the Goddess and the Green Man. If you are into paganism and Wicca, it's a great place to go for supplies. If you're into something a little bit darker, Lilith is a great shop, and they sell some fantastic clothes. And now very briefly, I'm just going to take you that little bit further up, because we are very lucky indeed to have an incredibly beautiful church right in the middle of the high street. And it wouldn't be a balanced talk if I didn't mention St John's Church, because it is a hub of the community. The diocese team are very pagan friendly, and in recent times we have lost people who were very, very special, and they were put really, really well taken care of. Brilliant send-off from here with our local clergy team, Pagan Flavoured Funerals. So there we have it. That's the bottom half of the high street, and I think we'll probably leave it at that for now for you. And I shall return home, make more coffee and conclude for you. Thanks. Hi, so I'm back here at home now. That was an interesting excursion into town while it was quiet. Quite a lot of regular people were sitting around by the cafes and pottering around. Nobody wanted to speak to you and tell you what makes Glastonbury good for them. Now, Glastonbury is an interesting place. You've got people who are born and bred here who have got no leanings towards the spiritual, and you've got people who are incomers. Often they became interested in the spiritual aspect of Glastonbury, which grew up in the 60s and 70s. Quite a lot of them have also come as a result of a lot of the protests of the 80s, and therefore they don't want to be filmed, and they're naturally quite nervous of authority. But it was interesting just to speak to people while I was out there and find that they were very interested in what we were doing here, but oh no, we don't want to participate. So I did try to get someone to speak for you, but no, they were having none of it. So I'm rather hoping that it just gave you a little bit of a flavour of the kind of high street that we have. I'm not going to go out and film Tesco and Morrison's to let you know that we have real shops, but we do. But when people come into Glastonbury, if they come on a coach trip or they come as visitors, the part of the high street that I've just shown you is the part that most people see. So it really does create this whole idea of it being incredibly mystical, and it is, I think, the only place in the country where you can find so many different kinds of mysticism in one place as well. We are very lucky in that the church work closely with the pagan community so that everything is inclusive, because it would be very easy for people to not speak to one another if they don't believe the same thing. But in actual fact, you know, it's not a bad place to live. A lot of people keep themselves to themselves, and visitors do see, if you like, a sort of a slightly purpley sparkly Glastonbury, and that's rather nice because it's a unique experience. But here in the real world, you know, our kids have to go to school. You know, we've got infant school, junior school, senior school. They're not brilliant, but they're okay for a small rural town with limited infrastructure. What is really great about living here is we're close to the coast. We're close to the incredible beauty of the Mendip Hills and the Somerset Levels. So we get a hot pot of spiritual life, but a very close connection to the land. And I think that's one thing that does bring quite a lot of people in. So it's an interesting place, and I hope do have a look online, because most of the shops that you will have seen in that short film do have online presences, and you can shop through there, and it's nice to be able to say, well, I know what the shop looks like. So hopefully I've just been able to open your eyes a little bit for you, and share a little bit of sort of the everyday life of being a witch living in Glastonbury, really. You know, just pottering up the high street, videoing, talking into my phone. Nobody challenged me or stopped me on that one. But then, normal for Glastonbury. Of course it is. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of your festival. Take care and blessed be.